Welcome to KBS World Radio. You're now tuned in to Korea24's Korea Book Club, where we explore the world of Korean literature. This is our weekend replay edition, playing back our book segment from Wednesday's show. We hope you enjoy it. I'm your host, Kwon Jang-woo. Joining me now in the studio is our literary critic, Barry Welsh. Barry, hello, it's great to see you.
Yes, hi, nice to see you.
Okay, so what book are you introducing us to today?
So today we are reviewing a short story called The World You Want to See by Chang Kang-myoung. The Korean title is 당신이 보고 싶어하는 세상. It was originally published in 2020, and English translation by Paige Morris was published as part of the Asia Publishers K-Fiction series in 2022. And Chang only has a couple of short stories available in English translation, but over the last decade he's built up a following in Korea for his very successful novels, including the provocatively titled Because I Hate Korea and The Comments Army, as well as some of his a collection of non-fiction essays. And between 2011 and 2016, he actually won a string of literary awards, including the Hangul Literary Award and most recently in 2016, the Today Writer Award. And the story we're reviewing in today's episode is a very topical sci-fi story that seems inspired by recent developments in augmented reality, virtual reality, and maybe even a bit of the generative AI developments as well. And then the various other technologies which use and are associated with those things. And Chang presents a disturbing, dystopian vision of a future society where people are addicted to reality-altering devices, and their every interaction with the world around them is mediated through a device called an agent that creates some kind of altered reality. And as Chang writes in his afterword, individually personalized media has given rise to confirmation bias, and the people who fall into that bias end up living in a state of post-truth, a nightmare that will lead to the collapse of our society's centripetal force. And in the story, Chang shows us that nightmare.
Right, so this sounds like a very topical story indeed on two aspects. The first is the augmented reality, as you said. Many big tech companies, including ones such as Samsung, have been investing heavily in various kinds of augmented or virtual reality technologies. Apple, of course, recently announced their augmented reality headset. In the past, Google Glass. Google had the Google Glass as well, of course, so it's all very relevant. And then the idea of personalized media. Of course, we've seen the effects of confirmation bias and individualized media in recent elections around the world and how that has affected political situations. Some commentators suggest we already live in this a sort of post-truth world. So again, all very timely issues, Barry. But how does Chang then depict the effects of these future technologies and issues on the landscape of the future?
Right, well, so many readers, like you said, will be able to think of very recent examples of the problem that Chang is writing about here. So the story presents a future society where groups of people live separate from one another, or in separate groups from one another, on a series of spaceships or cruise ships, sort of space intergalactic cruise ships. However, each of these groups has its own preferred version of reality. So, for example, maybe the reality you exist in is one where your virtual reality device will tell you that the presidential candidate you supported is the one who did actually become president, whether this is true or not. But of course, each group has a different preferred candidate, a different preferred reality, and so each group's virtual reality devices will give them their different version of reality, the one that they desire. And so these groups are happy in their own reality, but they're blissfully ignorant of the realities that other groups exist within. And of course, this seems like an extreme version of the world that we live in now, where many of us are siloed off in our own media worlds, where the algorithm just shows us things that we want to see, more of the things that we're interested in. And Chang writes in his afterword, he asks, asks, what does this do to the idea of a shared reality? If ever we encounter someone who's a different belief, we can simply block them or remove them from our world. And Chang goes on to ask, in his afterword and through the story, if we all exist within our own silos, our own walled-off realities, and we only interact with people who share our beliefs and opinions, what does that do to society as a whole? Can society hang together if it's structured like that? And in Chang's vision of the future in this story, these technologies that are designed to help us communicate, they've become echo chambers that trap their users in the worlds that they want to see, they want to live in. And furthermore, these agents, the technology they use in the story, they also change how people interact on a personal level too.
Right, so it sounds like Chang is depicting a very extreme version of our potential future and how technology affects the political landscape. But what effects do these agents then have on personal relationships, as you hinted there? How does this AR, VR technology change friendships and inter-family relations?
Right, yeah. So this is the other big aspect of the story. We're introduced to one family in the narrative. The story is that a government operative, he's been sent to investigate a possible crime that this family has committed. And that crime is that they have altered the reality of their youngest child, who is under 16. The family has not brought up this child in what the government operative calls a sufficiently objective reality, and so he's been sent to intervene and met out some punishment to the family. And as he investigates, we meet the different members of this family, and they all inhabit a virtual world or a kind of augmented world that's vastly different from their reality and vastly different from each other's reality. But due to his job as a government operative, he can see through the realities they're trying to project, and he can see that the real and tragic state that these people are actually in. So the first person we meet is the eldest daughter, who is emaciated and engaged in interactions with people who don't exist. They're just figments of her imagination. And she tells the operative that she hasn't even interacted with her parents in some time. It's a very disturbing image. Again, just an exaggerated image of things that perhaps we might have observed around us. And many of us, perhaps young people especially, are addicted to the internet, of course, social media and so on. And this sort of example of this young girl is a particularly upsetting example of where that addiction could go if the technology just keeps getting better, gets even better than it is now. And then we meet the mother in the family, and she is projecting this image of an elegant, refined woman, but of course in reality she's actually undernourished and she's dressed in rags. So we have this vision of a family that doesn't interact with each other in the real world at all, and instead they're all lost in these in their own little fantasy worlds whilst neglecting their health in the real world.
Sounds like a very interesting sci-fi exploration of several concerns that are perhaps only going to grow, it seems. It's called The World You Want to See by Chang Kang-myoung. And that was our pick for Korea Book Club this week. Barry, thank you for that recommendation. Until next time, take care. We'll see you next time.
Okay, take care.
And that's all for this week's Korea Book Club. You can check out more of the works we discussed on our website at world.kbs.co.kr. Join us again next week.